Okay, hello everybody. My name is Wolfgang Hankeln and I'm sitting here with Dawn Field from the University of Oxford. And we are going to talk now about the EU-US short course. So there will be a couple of warm-up questions in the beginning. You already mentioned this is not your first time in Bremen, so what are your first impressions about the Jacobs University campus in Bremen this time?
Right, now we've had fantastic weather. And Jacobs, I've been really impressed. I didn't know a lot about the university before I came, and I've seen a tour now, and I've seen an overview talk, and this idea of creating the international citizens of the future, and it's really a great place. I've really enjoyed it. It's very open, and people are very nice, and seems academically to be quite a unique place.
It's also developing now in the years, and Bremen is now excellent officially. So
yeah, congratulations. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thanks a lot. So now towards your background, can you describe a little what you are doing scientifically?
Yeah, so I actually, my background is molecular evolution, and because there's now so much sequence data available, DNA data, I've moved quite heavily into bioinformatics. So I'm interested in microbial diversity and evolution. And we're looking at both genomes at the comparative level and metagenomes, so environmental samples. And one of the projects that we're here for, that's linked to Bremen, obviously, is MicroB3 and Ocean Sampling Day, so a large global project to collect ocean samples over the next years.
Okay, now coming to the short course, can you maybe put it in your words what the short course is all about?
Right, so I see this as a real success that you can have 2 weeks, massively oversubscribed course in an area of marine bioinformatics. There's a real need in the community, in bioinformatics in general, but I think also now in the marine community. The students are extremely high caliber because you don't know before you come in and give a talk where you should pitch things. But I was lucky to come a bit early. I've seen a couple of the talks, and their knowledge when they come in is quite extraordinary, and yet you can tell they're learning a lot from all the speakers here. And the thing that's impressed me most is how many questions I ask at the end, and of every subject it's consistently good.
So they have quite different backgrounds. It's very interdisciplinary, and this course is not only a theoretical one, it's also a practical course. So, and maybe what are your impressions? How are the students picking it up? And
yeah, so so far I've only seen the theory. And I think they're getting quite a bit out of it, again, judging by the questions. I hope there's lots of hands-on, because I think a lot of them want to walk away with real skills that they can use. Probably a lot of them have too much data and want all the solutions. But even if they don't get the solution here in the computer lab, they probably now know the right people to talk to, and they have a lot more impression of sort of the big picture. Yeah.
But it's a really steep learning curve, isn't it? I mean, this course is 2 weeks, and what is now the recipe for success so that the students are picking it up that quick, this bioinformatic?
Right. Oh gosh,
methods.
I think a lot of hard work on their part probably when they go back again. But I think there's already discussion of having the course again, and in some ways, maybe there could be follow-on activities like another workshop, or hopefully some of these students now, if they're not already in bioinformatics, engage in some level. Maybe specific workshops are needed now in marine bioinformatics. So
this short course is also a joint effort between the US and the EU. And what are the hopes and expectations for that kind of collaboration?
All right, I think it's fantastic. I'm obviously American, and I've lived in the UK for a long time, so anything that promotes cross-pond activities is great, because they're fantastic labs across the world, but it's great for the US students to see that there's this diversity across Europe. And again, for the Europeans to have access to some of these very large centers that are in the US, it's a fabulous combination. And of course, again, coming back to things like Ocean Sampling Day, until we get all of them collaborating. Yeah. And I think when we had the introductory talks about why the course is there, why you want to train the next generation, and this idea of building networks early, that these people really are coming together. 2 weeks is enough of a time to make colleagues, probably for the rest of your life. So.
Picking up on this networking idea, so have you already met also some new interesting people here at the meeting, and also for the speakers and participants, how about that interaction?
Yeah, absolutely. So because we already collaborate with Frank Oliver's group, and some of the community level work I do with data sharing. We know a lot of the participants, and so it's sort of putting Bremen on the map as a bit of an epicenter. It already is, but in another layer. So yeah, I've benefited just from the speakers that I overlap with, and from the students. I wish I had more time to talk to them. A few have come up and said they want to engage in some way. They ask really good questions, but again, I think a lot of the speakers look at this pool as sort of, potential future postdocs, and you watch out for these people because they're very determined, and it's a good group.
That's good. Now coming back to your role in this community, can you maybe describe what your contribution and input is in this community?
Right. So Frank Oliver, it's fantastic. When they put the course together, they're covering so many different topics, and one of the new areas is how we share data, how we contextualize sequences, how we make sure basic things like latitude, longitude are captured. And so my discussion was about the Genomic Standards Consortium and how we're working at a grassroots level, at the community level, to build consensus on this. And I tried very much to sort of frame it that out of all of bioinformatics, if this is marine bioinformatics, there's also a layer that's sort of standards bioinformatics, and there's a particular technology stack and a set of tools you need to be familiar with in order to push this forward. So I was really happy to be included in the agenda. It's quite a new area, and again, I think it's Frank Oliver's open-mindedness. I tried to do a very big picture view, but hopefully it might engage some of them. At least they're aware that it's there, and they'll help contribute some of this contextual data when they publish their experiments, or find it more easily when they do comparative studies. So.
And this collaboration idea, so what is the vision? What needs to be done and decided? I mean, there's also this task force meeting in parallel.
Right.
And what do you think, what kind of decisions need to be done in order to make this whole thing work and successful?
Right. Well, the first thing is, this gives you another chance to actually advertise that these projects exist. So it's sort of a platform to get more people engaged. And once these students, they're the next generation, once they become more familiar, hopefully the tide will continue to change, and then they go and they talk to colleagues. One of the most satisfying parts of the talk was afterwards, we might actually have a new GSC project, and a new community thinking about how they describe, for example, deep sea studies. This is how you build community and how it spreads out, because we can't do it all. Until people engage and adopt and make contributions, things don't really happen. So that was very positive.
That sounds good. And now you just gave your talk, so maybe if you can summarize it in a few sentences, what is the take-home message for the listeners?
Right. So if I think about my conclusion slide, I think I kind of set up the talk asking the students, when they go to public databases, what do they want to see that's missing? And the thing that's very satisfying is they said the very obvious thing. So the GSC has a minimum information about any sequence checklist, so things that you should publish when you put your data in the public domain. And we have core terms, and they absolutely went down the list. You need lat long, they want to see depth, they want to see certain in situ measurements that we have, you want to see sequencing type. So that was very, very encouraging. They're already thinking in their careers how you get hands on this data. And then we talked through why that's important, so how you can link satellite data to community structure. And we talked about genomic observatories and the L4 site in the Western English Channel, and how we can actually use environmental data to predict communities now because we have a long-term time series. And then very much sort of got into, if there's one take-home message, it's that they can affect change in the future. If they decide that there's something missing in the scientific landscape in this area, it's just a matter of sort of speaking up, nucleating a community to take it forward. And so we went through the process of how the GSC started and what it's achieved so far. And the last message, I think, really, is that we feel like we're a long way into the genomics revolution, but in many ways it's absolutely just starting. And these students can think of projects and experiments that we couldn't have thought of 10 years ago, that they have the tools and the sort of the computing infrastructure now to really think broadly. I think it's just starting.
And why do you think now is the best time to make that transition? I mean, what's the reason? Why is that now so important?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's sort of this convergence. I talked a bit about the history of genomics. There's several milestones that went into it. The ability to manipulate DNA, PCR, DNA sequencing, but also advances in bioinformatics, so homology searching, And the fact that the internet suddenly exploded, you can actually get hands on all of this data. And the big things that are happening now is people are starting to think about large scale, these mega sequencing projects. Next generation sequencing is revolutionizing all of environmental sciences, which means marine science. And sort of the whole field was sort of born digital. So we've got open access, we've got this community feel and this ability to pull data together. Now if we can pull all these projects together into these larger scale questions, that's when we can make a bigger impact sort of than you might expect for the size of the community. And I think the oceans are the perfect place to do that.
Okay, so that's it for my part with the questions. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
And have fun this evening in Bremen. I think
will.
there will be a city trip.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.